Hello and welcome to another episode of Hopelessly Casual. This is me, Christian, after over 24 hours of successfully being awake, semi-awake, whatever.
Successful is a very, very flexible term.
Right, with me here as always is Freya. Say hi, Freya.
Hello, hello. If you hear snoring at some point, I'll just talk over it and then it'll just be us. It's fine.
Exactly, you can go on another of your Harry Potter rants.
Oh, come on, I've contained myself. It could have been double the length, and I'm not completely cancelling the possibility that that may still happen at some point.
Can you imagine if there was just an extended edition of that episode, like just 4 hours? It's just, I left at some point.
She
and
didn't
no
notice.
one noticed. But, right, so today we're talking about things we could never really get into.
I'm scared of this. I think people may hate me for what I have lined up.
I've got some debatable things, especially with the fandoms I'm, known for is saying a bit much because we've got 3 listeners.
Yeah, but those 3 know us. What are you talking about? We need to further those parasocial relationships.
It's true.
We hear you. Well, you hear us, but...
And from what I understand, we're about to open a comments section, so...
Yeah, because Spotify has that feature now.
Beautiful. Let's open the floodgates to hopefully only nice things people have to say.
I think you're too paranoid about this, but...
Yes, because, I've never been in the position of being commented on the internet.
I was gonna say...
In real life all the time. Because I'm there.
Friends with me, for one.
True. That draws a lot of ire, surprisingly. But no, so basically we're focusing today on things, that in and of themselves are either very popular,
right,
or, have massive fandoms.
And
that
we
means
just
that
are not part of them.
Exactly. So we know about these things.
Absolutely.
We've tried some of these. We try to get into some of these because, they seemed like fun, they seemed interesting, fascinating, whatever. Or, I've got a few things on my list that are very popular
Same.
and that I'm aware of, but also never cared for or never wanted to get into.
I think we will have some overlap potentially.
Possibly.
I have a vague feeling about that.
Yeah, I think we might.
Yeah.
So why don't you get us started?
Okay, so I'm gonna start us off with some gaming. Because I think there's 3 main games / franchises that I never managed to get into, and I'm gonna start with the one that I have recently tried again. I've really tried, which is Cyberpunk.
Oh, really?
I own Cyberpunk.
I've yet to try it.
I have... look, I'm a massive fan of The Witcher. Massive.
Yes,
and it's
I know.
the same production, right?
Yeah,
it's the same
it's
studio.
Studio Red.
Yes.
No, CD Projekt Red, sorry.
CD Projekt Red, but everyone knew what you meant, I think.
Yeah.
And because I have a massive soft spot for The Witcher 3, because it was the first proper AAA game that I ever played and I ever completed, and it's probably my favorite. Now, Baldur's Gate is a high second right now, and Red Dead Redemption 2 as well, but it's up there. Witcher, soft spot, first one. So I got super excited when Cyberpunk came out, because I was like, oh my god, yes. And I don't know the other ones, I just know the recent one, but I was like, hey, I loved one of their games, so I probably will like this one. It's too much. Cyberpunk is scary.
In what way?
It is so incredibly... Well, first of all, I don't know what it is, right? I was going to blame it for a second on it being... Originally, when you get into it, fairly shooter-based, before you can modify your character to probably work more with katanas and stuff like that. And I'm not a massive fan of shooters.
Fair.
But that's also not true, because I love Red Dead Redemption 2, and that is the only way of combat you have. So, but it's not an ego perspective, I suppose. That changes it a little bit, and
I think it's more considered, I don't know, an adventure, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've yet to play R2. I've yet to play that.
R2?
I'm sorry. I was trying to be with the cool kids.
You would.
I never could.
But then you turned into Star Wars Stroke. So.
Star Wars Stroke. What's happening to him? Oh, don't worry about him. He's enjoying that.
Yeah, but so I think I haven't even finished the tutorial of the game.
Really?
I got it when it came out, pretty much initially. Maybe I waited a couple months for the initial bug fixes to happen, because if people remember, it was quite the scandal because they released it prematurely because of pressure from the fan base and everything. So when they released it, it was sort of like a... What's the other one? There was one game that came out that was horrible, and then they fixed it and now it's great. Fallen Sky, something like that.
No
Man's Sky, thank you. Like it was sort of that. So when Cyberpunk initially released, CD Projekt Red, they bombed hard, and I think they had massive financial issues. I don't know if they declared bankruptcy. I don't want to... dangerous half knowledge there, so I'm not gonna make any claims, but it was bad. And then they fixed it.
If I may just for a second there.
Yeah.
Because my first experience with that studio in particular was The Witcher, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when that came out, it was, well, I suppose it's fair to say, not in a good state. I wouldn't call it desolate, but, you know, like NPCs were all sort of synchronized and everything. Mm-hmm. It already in its first version, I feel, had a bit of this distinct feeling of it, you know, like not being, you know, like more English inspired, you know, like high fantasy, but more like
it's Polish source material.
Yeah, this Eastern European style. And then they released this massive patch, which was the, I think, enhanced edition or whatever. And this is how I got to know this.
Right.
And it was fantastic. But I mean, this was, I think, their first major release, I believe. And they came back from that.
Yeah.
And I remember buying The Witcher 2, where it was just, you know, like, there's mixed opinions on this. I never really had a chance to really play it, even though I had it. But it was very nice when you opened it. You know, there was a letter from the studios saying, okay, we appreciate the support and that you're all really into this. And I think
very personal.
I think they do this a lot. And, you know, like to balance trying to put out a finished product and then, you know, like the massive demand, because, you know, like exactly Witcher 3 was Witcher 3
again, and I'm talking about Witcher 3 when I talk about The Witcher, just to clarify, like I'm talking about Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, obviously,
and
but,
you know, exactly, Witcher 3 was what it was.
I have over 200 hours in that game. I think 220, 230. I've done every single quest. I've uncovered every single question mark on that map.
I've yet to finish it.
All the Gwent challenges.
But the fascination is undeniable. It's undeniable. It really is.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like when they announced Cyberpunk, which is so vastly different in setting.
It's so overwhelming. It's incredible. So like, one of my closest friends is a massive Cyberpunk fan. He has it on PlayStation 5. He had it on PlayStation 4 before. I think he ported it.
I think it was almost unplayable when it first came out.
Or
PlayStation refunded people if they wanted to give it back.
I think so, yeah. But I think he got it when it was patched already, when it was fixed. And I don't know how many hours he has in that game, but 90% of the times when we see each other, when he's been playing something before I get there, it will be Cyberpunk. For a while it was Ghost of Tsushima, because he also absolutely hyper-focused on that, but he will always come back to Cyberpunk for years now.
Oh, wow.
And you know, and I watched him play, and I was like, I own this game. I have my gaming laptop with me. Let's just, let me just try. This was a week ago, or 1.5 weeks ago, and I started the game, and I didn't even manage, I think, 20 minutes, and I got so overwhelmed that I turned it off again. It's I don't know what it is. I mean, I think we've talked about this before, but I'm more of a fantasy than a sci-fi person.
Fair.
Mainly because of the setting, I believe. Because I love nature settings. I love green, lush, you know, even swamps, mountains, anything. Just like give me pretty scenery and let me move within it. Like yesterday I reached an area in Baldur's Gate that was so pretty it nearly had me in tears.
Oh wow.
It was so stunning, so pretty. It's just for that you need. I will bring my laptop and I will force you to watch me play a little bit, because that way I will get you to skip the first two, because then you get 3 and then we can play together.
Look. You almost had me there. There's a sale going on right now.
I know.
I don't have the money right now, but at this point I'm convinced I can skip the first 2 games.
I could. I have no idea what they're about, and it's pretty standalone campaigns. But anyway, so Cyberpunk is the opposite of that, right? Cyberpunk is a mega city. And it is insane in of itself, right? It's insane in detail. It's crazy. It's like you combine... I mean, me and my friend who lived in Berlin for 10 years, we talked about it, and he was like, this feels like Berlin in some weird parts. I'm like, yeah, it also feels like New York, and London, and Tokyo, all of them mixed together. So like so many mega cities, even Hong Kong, like in scale. It's crazy. And I mean, considering the map is just the city, even GTA 5 has some outskirts added to that. On top of, what is the city called? I forget.
Los Santos?
Yes, Los Santos. But in Cyberpunk, it's just the city. And there's so many options what you can do. You can build your character in so many intricate ways that basically, like if you want to seriously play it and you play it for the first time, you ideally Google a build first. If you're that kind of player, just because the options are crazy, and if you specify in the right way, you become so OP, it's incredible. But there's so many options that you just get lost. Like you just get lost, and you can't move 5 or 6 meters in game without getting a call from some NPC adding another side quest that you can potentially do. And then you so many gameplay options you have. I mean, all the weapons that you have these goggles you put on to I think it's called brain dance, where you have like a virtual reality that consists of people's memories, and you can enter them and you can interact with them. You can start and stop time. You can change the camera angles. You can interact with your area for like detective sort of things to like figure shit out. You can hack everything, because it's all science and technical equipment based. So every security camera that there's there, every, automated rifle or anything, you can hack anything. You can enhance your body because you're effectively everyone's a cyborg, and all the perks that you get are not magic in this sense, but like are cyborg perks, and you can just augmentate your body in all the ways. And there's a main story, of course there's a main story, but I don't even know what it is. Because there's so much, and it's too much. It's just too much.
I think this might literally be what sort of turned me away from it, because I haven't even tried it yet.
Yeah.
But I always, or almost always, get to a point when a game is too overwhelming with its options, where I'm just like, because I'm someone, I like a variety of things that I can do. But like, for example, I like to focus on a quest line.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like when at every corner something new comes up, and people could say, okay, you can just store it in your quest log and come back to it later. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like I'm losing the connection to it really, because, like someone's like, oh my God, somebody robbed me and they ran into that cave. And if I come back 50 in-game days later, well, I'm just like, okay,
kills the immersion, doesn't it?
Yeah, in a way. And at some point I'm just like, okay, there's so many interesting things going on, but like it overwhelms me. And like it might have to do with my ADHD a bit, where I'm just like, I like neat things. And I'm rarely a person that's like, oh, while I'm here I can go in there and just cleave through that guy. But exactly, and the amount of content, and I've heard this before from other friends who played Cyberpunk and really loved it, is apparently insane.
I want to stress this, right? I don't think it's a bad game at all. I think it's a brilliant piece of gaming history in a way, because it doesn't necessarily introduce new concepts, like it's open world, and it's very much that, but it does it on such a scale. The graphics are beautiful. And everything I'm listing that I take issue with is great features. It's just a tad too open for me. Like, I just need someone to take my hand and be like, there you go, child. Like in Red Dead Redemption, where you have a very clear storyline you follow. And you have all the options to venture around the map and, take your time in between. And then you open the map and then spots highlight and come up with your friends from camp. And then if you write there's that person with that quest. And if you write there's that person with that quest. And it's on the map. It's just on the map. And then you can decide if you head there or not. It's great. Or Baldur's Gate, for example, now, even though I love it, I only last week got back into it properly. Before that, I hadn't played for a year. Because it's the same thing where I had gotten to a point where I got sort of stuck. And then I didn't stick with it. And then the hurdle sort of to start it again, because I knew in what area I was, and that area didn't catch me at all. So I was like, I didn't play it anymore, even though I love it. I love it to this day. And then said friend I talked about earlier got it on PlayStation, and we've been playing in couch co-op. Started a new campaign on his PlayStation and played it together, and that got me to play mine again, because I then discovered different angles, how I could continue, and now I'm super back into it. And Cyberpunk, it makes me sad that I'm not getting into it, because I think it has potential to be great. It's just, I may just not be the right person for it, and I'm kind of sad about that.
Well, sometimes it happens like this. Like, for example, I bought, years and years ago, the very first, what's it called? Dishonored. And, the setting... I played that a good bit. Yeah, the setting was great and everything. And I started this game like 4 times. Never played very far, even though the elements were all there. And that was just one day, like a year after that, after my last play attempt, so to speak. Well, it's just like, you know what? I'm going to play it. And I was in the right mindset, and I played through it like, I don't know, in about, 2 weeks.
I never finished it, but I played it a good bit.
And just, like it happens like this. It was the right moment. And I mean, it's a great game. It's not nearly as expansive as, like, let's say, Cyberpunk or anything like this. But it's a fantastic game.
Absolutely.
Nonetheless. But yeah, it's just like with the overwhelming bit. And, like, first of all, I mean, open world's one thing, but you can have a lot of empty open worlds, or a very generic open world was just like, here's a fetch quest, now kill this,
Absolutely.
now do that. And if you have an open world with creative or at least interesting things to do, you get lost. Or, like you just like, you've played 100 hours in game where you return to the main storyline and you feel no longer any real connection or sense of urgency.
I think The Witcher just did it perfectly, to be honest, because The Witcher managed, I mean, it is open world, but you still have to unlock areas first by following the story. After you've unlocked an area, you can fast travel back, but you can't just randomly, I don't know, go to the Skellige Isles, which is like Act 3 in the story when you're just starting. Or unless, not that I'm aware of, maybe there's mods that allow you to do that, but originally you're not. And I think Witcher just strikes this great balance, because, I mean, the story lends itself to it. You are on a quest to find Yennefer and Ciri. That is your main prerogative. And obviously, the Wild Hunt is on your heels because they're also looking for Ciri. And then at the same time, you travel the world, you have question marks all over the place. You're intrigued to find what it is, because it could be different things. It could be a place of power to make your magic, to enhance your magic. It could be a monster nest. It could be a monster you haven't encountered before.
Could be interesting side quests with interesting stories in and of itself.
Exactly. And then there's the Witcher contracts, where you're working.
And it feels like everything adds to the world.
Yeah.
And Witcher does something that I feel only great games manage to do, because you have a quick travel function. But I rarely use it because I enjoy the sort of role play aspect of, like saying I have to ride all the way back.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that greatly. But maybe to move on.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is your first?
Right, I'm going to start with something I think nobody might have seen coming, who, like I might have mentioned once or twice that I'm really into Star Wars.
Oh, what?
No,
I didn't know that about you.
Or let's say used to be a lot more than I am now, because like I love it to death to this very day.
Yeah.
But there's just certain things, like you just don't have the time for it anymore as much as you used to, and but nevertheless, so it's an interesting time to be interested in Star Wars because there's a lot of things coming out.
Disney Plus, hello.
Yeah, exactly. And I've watched, for example, all the new shows except for The Acolyte because I thought, okay, I might read first into the High Republic, which is the era they're exploring right now. And I got interested in that because, you know, like Jedi Survivor, a lot of the main storyline has to do with that, you know, like part of the history. So The Acolyte still out. You hear mixed things about it. I try not to, you know, like get influenced by it because I think like, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. And I find that my opinions, at least, you know, like from the popular opinions you can read online, really runs contrary sometimes. It really does. Because, you know, like I enjoyed Kenobi greatly. A lot of people didn't like it. Andor, I think I was on board with most people generally, I do believe, liked it.
Okay.
I thought Ahsoka was okay. There were things I took issue with. But the thing is, I did not enjoy The Mandalorian.
Yes, we've talked about this.
Exactly.
It's the only Star Wars show I have seen.
And The Mandalorian, it always depends on how much stock you want to put into people who put their opinion online. Because, you know, like, people are more likely to say something when they don't like something. Fair enough. But, you know, like, a lot of people say, oh, it's the only thing keeping the franchise alive. That's bullshit. Sorry, I'm just going to say it. Because, you know, I was around when the prequels came out and everybody was like, George Lucas killed Star Wars. No, I think we have to see a lot worse than what we've seen for Star Wars to die. It really is like this. And you can say about the sequels whatever you want. I don't personally like them very much. But I remember when I went to see The Last Jedi, I remember I stood in line outside because I went to see a matinee. And there was a father standing outside with his like 10-year-old son.
Yeah.
And he was holding a Kylo Ren figure. And I was like, yeah, cool.
That's
as
sweet.
long as
You're like,
you know,
I used to be that with Darth Vader.
Or whoever.
Yeah.
And exactly, as long as, you know, like, it's still sort of, I don't know, fascinates children or whatever, you know, gets them. It doesn't matter to me, you know, like, maybe you grow up and you're like, maybe those movies aren't as great as I remember them. But for the time being, you know, like, because I remember...
Exactly, product of their time. It's always hard to do an anachronistic viewpoint of things, I feel.
Yeah, but so... The Mandalorian.
Yes.
Right? So that was a huge announcement. We're going to do a live action show.
Yeah.
And I remember I hope I'm not getting myself into trouble depending on how far back that was. Because I remember in Europe, I think the test run for Disney Plus was for whatever reason in the Netherlands. Maybe I always underestimated the Netherlands.
I could not tell you. I have no idea.
I think I read something like this.
Okay.
So I pirated the first 2 episodes.
How could you?
Yeah. Of The Mandalorian. I went to a website.
Disney could have gone bankrupt.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of
Especially Disney. And if they're coming after me, if this is the last episode we'll ever do,
I do
you
not
know what
condone
happened
this
to us.
behavior.
Very good. But...
Big Mouse could have suffered.
I liked the opening episode. It was, you know, like this gunslinger sort of thing going on. It was produced very well. It had a budget, obviously. Because, you know, like...
It's Disney and Star Wars, of course.
Yeah, exactly. You can't have it look like a Star Trek show. And I love Star Trek, don't get me wrong. From the 1990s, where just like, that's a set, that's a set, that's a set. No one's outside right now, especially not on a foreign planet. But then Grogu happened. At that time, Baby Yoda. And the whole world shat itself.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
I may have as
well.
That
thing is annoying. It's not cute.
It's not annoying. And it is very cute.
It's fucking annoying.
I will agree it's overrated, but...
It's the most overrated thing of all time. And so is The Mandalorian himself. Din Djarin. Jesus Christ. Like, I watched that show and I'm like... Okay. I don't hate it. I want to make that clear. I don't hate it. But I don't understand where everybody's like, oh my God, that show is so great. No, it's not. It really isn't.
I have forgotten everything except for Grogu, I will admit.
And when...
Pedro Pascal, no?
Huh?
Pedro Pascal?
Yeah. Well, he's also got 2 stand-ins who sometimes appear... He doesn't sometimes appear in episodes at all. Whoa. He just dubs them over. Well, I'm just like, okay, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't take away from the performance, I think. But the thing is, okay, you're trying to unite the Mandalorians, which is an old cause if you watched Clone Wars.
Okay.
Fair enough. And then you got Bo-Katan Kryze, who also returns from the Clone Wars, who I think was a much more interesting character than Din fucking Djarin. Because that guy's a bloody sausage. Because, you know, like, he manages to get himself captured. Bo-Katan Kryze rescues him. No shame in that. But he has to go to the holy waters because somebody's seen him without his helmet.
Yeah.
And that's an absolute no-no.
Yeah.
So his only chance to no longer be exactly to no longer be ostracized is to bathe in the holy waters under Mandalore. But everybody thinks Mandalore is fucking, you know, like uninhabitable because of the bombardments of the Imperials. Blah blah blah. Turns out it's not. So she saves him. They go to that fucking cave. He takes 3 steps into the fucking water just to fall into an abyss. Not 10 minutes after the last rescue, basically drowning. She saves him again. And then, you know, I'm like, our hero, everyone. I think it's okay as a hero to, you know, like, need help. That's not the problem. But, you know, like, to be a fucking idiot is a whole other matter.
It could be endearing if they play it off correctly.
It's not endearing at all. And the thing is, you know, like, this is just one example. I just, you know, like, then they did they did one episode which is so Clone Wars filler episode. This thing's like, they arrive in a village which is being, you know, like, which is being terrorized by this group of bandits that come by, and then, you know, like, you've got this band of unlikely heroes saving the village, and, you know, like, I didn't expect him to be, you know, like, a really sort of, what would you call
Flashed out hero?
No, an evil character.
Okay.
But can we have someone who's, you know, like,
a little bit morally grey?
Yeah, like, because it was done rather well in the opening of the first episode and everything, and I'm just like,
you want a little bit of an anti-hero.
Something like that, and I don't feel that was given here, especially since he's basically a glorified babysitter.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, okay, you bring Luke Skywalker into this, and Ahsoka for the first time, which also does this thing, you know, like, which we had in the old expanded universe with Star Wars, that basically all the Jedi were killed except they weren't.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, Luke is our last hope, maybe Leia, and then it's like, oh, there's a shitload of Jedi
okay,
around.
we
I
have
feel like
more.
like in the prequels, okay, Yoda tried to stop the Emperor once, and it's like, I have to go into exile, mate. Why?
Just like you could have tried again.
Yeah,
like,
this didn't go badly. Maybe next time bring, I don't know, Kenobi. Maybe ask around. There's still Jedi around, at least more readily available. Go in there, fuck that guy up. But, you know, like, the thing is with Star Wars, and it's always been like that, and I love it to death, but in the expanded universe, old and new, it feels like Jedi genocide happens as often as the Olympics.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, for evil to triumph, at least if it's not written overly well, the good guys have to be really fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's
most franchises.
There's a lot of things going on. But, you know, like, The Mandalorian, it had a lot of interesting premises. It really did. But, you know, like, I don't expect, like, for example, when the animated show The Bad Batch came out, I like it very much.
I always read The Bad Bitch. Every time I see it advertised, I read The Bad Bitch. I can't help myself. Yeah.
And I hope, okay, it would have been weird to have a sort of, like, Nazi death squad, you know, like, as our heroes. But they immediately, like, almost immediately sort of desert and turn good. Well, I'm just like,
too quick, was it?
Yeah, like,
a little bit more of a tease you wanted.
Well, I want something where it's like, for example, the animated shows like Tales from the Jedi and Tales from the Empire, or Tales of the Empire, they're interesting because they explore this thing of falling to a dark place, being in that place, and then coming back, you know, a redemption arc, but where we actually get to explore that dark place.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, you're a bounty hunter.
Right.
So there you go. And, for example, people love The Mandalorian, hated the Book of Boba Fett, where I'm like, yeah, I can sort of see why, because we still want, like the ruthless bounty hunter Boba Fett, which they take away. I agree. But, and this might really be the final nail in the coffin, I sort of enjoyed the Book of Boba Fett, and certainly more than I did The Mandalorian.
How you look at me right now, I take it that's a controversial opinion.
Apparently it is. The good thing is I'm, I don't really read reviews. I really don't. Sometimes if I really hate a movie, I go on rogerebert.com or something like this to see if they've got the same opinion, and because they
feel validated in some way.
Yeah, exactly. And they write it so well where I'm just like, yes, this is exactly why I don't like it. But I generally don't write reviews online, and especially when you just know this is a thing where they're going to review bomb it or something like this. I feel like I've got better uses for my time.
Right.
But this was me where I was just like, I don't hate it, The Mandalorian, but I really don't like it. I think it's overrated. It's nice to see over various, types of media for things to come together. Like I was so excited, like when I played Jedi Fallen Order, where you go to the Castle Inquisitorius and then you see it a few months later in Kenobi, the same location, or you see races that or species that were first introduced in the Clone Wars now being brought into video games or into shows, and I'm just like,
to expand entire the universe
exactly
together.
Where you just realize it's one universe.
Yeah, that's nice.
But I did not care for The Mandalorian, is all I'm going to say.
Fair. Very fair. For my next one, you get to pick, because I don't want to do games again. I can either go book or TV show.
Give me book.
Give me book, okay. I'm not entirely sure if the English title translates directly. I think it does. In German, it's called Tintenherz, which is Inkheart.
Yeah.
Originally a German book by a German author, Cornelia Funke. But I think she moved to California quite early on in her literary career.
I think she's doing well for herself.
She and I think the most of her books were also translated into English, as far as I know. And I grew up with her. There's quite a few books that I read. One of my favorite ones would be Dragon Rider. Fantastic book, loved it. I have a massive love for dragons. It's great. However, the Inkheart trilogy, which is Inkheart.
Ink Blood?
No, that's the final one, I think. Ink Blood, and there's one in between. Tintenherz, Tintenblood. Actually, you're right. I think it's Inkheart, Ink Blood, Ink Death.
I think Death is pretty final. In many
pretty
cases.
Final. Yes, there's out of nowhere torrent of rain going on outside. Apparently.
Yes, welcome to summer.
We hear that did not at all look like that an hour ago. I'm here by bike. That's great. And people love this trilogy. I know for a lot of people that was their Harry Potter, that was their introduction to the fantasy genre, because it's a bit more readable as a child, because of course Harry Potter was written for children, but Inkheart I think is a little bit more approachable in some way for some younger readers potentially. There was a film as well. I don't know when it came out, but I remember Brendan Fraser's in it.
And Andy Serkis as Capricorn.
So, fairly. I mean, I don't think they ever did the other two books.
No, they haven't.
The books have done very well for themselves and internationally, and I never liked them.
You didn't?
I never liked them.
I never read them, but I watched the movie because my mum read the books actually, and Helen Mirren's in it for a short while.
It's a huge cast. I've seen the film. The film was okay for me because I love Brendan Fraser.
And at that time, it felt like, it was nice to see Andy Serkis
do something
outside
else
of
than
CGI. Or, the guy's brilliant no matter what he does. But it's good to see him as an actor, because everybody's like, oh wow, this.
That is an argument for the MCU. I'm just saying, because he's in it.
But true. I mean, whatever the guy does is absolute brilliance, and exactly. I think it was one of Brendan Fraser's last hurrahs before he dropped off for a while.
Yeah, and now he's got his Oscar. I still need to see The Whale.
Same.
But I love Brendan Fraser because I love the original Mummy trilogy. That's how I know him. And I watched that arguably way too young. But I love the Mummy, and I love Brendan Fraser in it. So
I recently rewatched the first one. I don't think it has aged well.
It hasn't. I've also rewatched it, but
Not
when I
just
was
because
like
of the
7
effects,
or 8, it was great.
But it's very campy. It's still fun.
Which is fun. It's a fun film.
Yeah,
it's
but
not
I think
a good film. It's a fun film.
I think it overdoes it after a while, and this is a controversial opinion.
It's probably
in and of
very
itself.
much a product of its time.
True,
when is it?
but,
Late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah, but people absolutely adore it.
Female writing, not good. Like, the female characters are written horribly, even though she does save his ass quite a few times. She's still a very...
She is the capable character in
She
this
is,
one.
but in a way she's also the naive character, and it's a bit Arguably, MVP is Jonathan, the brother. He's hilarious. Absolute buffoon, but hilarious. But...
Imhotep.
But... Inkheart, I started reading it because I was a massive reader as a child. Massive reader. I was raised on books. Both of my parents always read a lot. I started reading as soon as I could, basically. So they, in preschool, kindergarten, they already gave me like books like age appropriately and everything. I was way ahead of reading in terms of school. I read the first Harry Potter, I think, in 1st or 2nd grade, and within, I don't know, a few weeks, I think. I used to read before bed instead of doing anything else. I used to read before I got ready in the morning. I would set my alarm 20 minutes early before I had to get up for school so I could read in the morning. I would read while having breakfast. I would always bring my book along to, whenever my parents and I went on holidays for like 2 weeks somewhere, I would at least bring 5 books because I would just finish them all in 2 weeks. I was that kid that got so focused on what she was reading and so indulged in it that people would have to physically touch me sometimes if they tried to speak to me because they just couldn't get my attention because I didn't hear or see anything when I was reading. And I started Inkheart, and I don't think I didn't even get through half of it. It didn't captivate me at all. And it surprised me because it's not Cornelia Funke, it's not the author. I've read so many books of hers at that age. But the story, for some reason, I didn't enjoy the characters. I can't even really remember the story that well. It's the idea that there is a different world within a book, or within books, I believe, a fantasy world, that is accessible through this certain book. Not for everyone, I believe. I think you need to be of a certain lineage. For some form of magical descent that allows you to switch between worlds, something like that.
Yeah, isn't it that you can read things into reality?
Yeah.
Like a silver tongue or something
exactly.
like that.
And it is strange because thinking about that, all of that should have been absolutely up my alley. Massive book nerd, massive
It looked interesting in the film.
And it left me completely cold. Wow. Completely. I didn't feel anything reading it. It didn't trigger anything in me. No emotion, no sympathy for any characters, no identification on any level with anybody, nothing that would have kept me reading, because with Harry Potter, for example, my mum would have to physically restrain me and tell me, stop reading now, you're going to bed now. No, you're not starting the next one now, you're going to bed. I know you just finished the 3rd one, you are starting the 4th one tomorrow with breakfast, not now. That was the conversation that we would have. And Inkheart just... And it's such a shame because I feel like there was a lot of potential, because a lot of my friends that would read at the time, like especially like around late primary school, early high school. Mm-hmm. So when we were like between 10, 11, 12, just before puberty hits and reading becomes really uncool. But in your late stages of primary school, when you have acquired the skill to read fluently and properly and it's not a chore anymore, and before pre-puberty kills, yeah. A lot of my friends read. We were like, a lot of us loved reading, and they all read them, and they're like, oh my god, that's my favorite book series, that's great.
Yeah, I'm so glad we're not doing a live show. My mum can't call in because she'd be like, first of all, I doubt she'd listen to my podcast. But second of all, it's like, the moment she did, it's like, what did she just say?
Never met your mum, but then she will never speak to me
again. This is
again.
how I met your mother.
That's not how you should introduce us.
Well, she called in and she started berating me.
She just screamed at me for 2 hours straight.
It was so dark.
But yeah, that's, I think, in terms of like huge book series, huge in quotation marks, but like comparably for the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of like young adult novels, let's call it, because I since I started studying and I studied arts and humanities, I haven't really been pleasure reading a lot, because if all you have to do for your course is read, you don't read in your free time.
No, it's not like you're switching books like, and now for some light reading.
No,
really
exactly.
Don't.
You don't burrow through paper after paper after paper for 8 hours straight, taking notes, and then you're like, and now I'll read before bed. No, you sit on the couch and watch some brain rot. That's what you do. So I never got into, like, say, the huge adult fantasy books. Like, I never read The Wheel of Time.
Neither have I.
My mother loves them. We've all of them.
It's apparently, and it's, like...
It's such a commitment, oh my God.
Yeah, fair enough, but apparently it's a pretty big deal, because,
Yeah.
I think it's not only in
Amazon do?
they did, but it's not only in fantasy for the genre, it's apparently one of the best-selling book series...
Of all time.
Of all time.
Yeah, it is.
Where just like I think I remember a movie adaptation from like years and years and years ago, and then Amazon sort
Did
of
a show?
exactly, and it sort of rekindled
Yeah.
the interest.
Did it bomb? I don't know.
I don't
didn't hear
think it did. I think
anything
it was.
from anymore.
I think it was critiqued rather well.
Huh.
I haven't watched it.
But I started. It was a thing where, like, out of curiosity, when I was like 16 or something, I would like just read the first few chapters of whatever my mom was reading at the time, or Game of Thrones. She read Game of Thrones as well.
Yeah, I tried the first bit.
She stopped around the Red Wedding, I believe. I'm not gonna put out spoilers for Game of Thrones here, because it's been out for ages, guys. Get your shit together.
Yeah, exactly.
But my mom is very much a black and white person, in terms of, like, you have the good guys that are the heroes and everything is fine, and you have the bad guys.
We don't allow for grey areas.
There's a thunderstorm going on, my lord.
Yeah. Here we are.
Yeah, exactly. We don't allow for grey areas at all. So Game of Thrones, shockingly, wasn't the best series for my mom in that regard, because she was like, okay, Starks are the good guys. They carry us through, and then they all died.
Yeah.
And, like, Red Wedding was the sort of her final, nail
Final
in the
straw,
coffin.
yeah.
And so she, but I never read. I started reading the first one, but again,
Yes.
it's the commitment ones. But I've never properly read Game of Thrones. I've never properly read The Wheel of Time. But in terms of young adult novels of the time, I've read pretty much most of them that mattered, sort of. I will include Twilight, huge cultural phenomenon. I will include Hunger Games, also huge cultural phenomenon. And okay, fair. I had Hunger Games as an audiobook, but I'm still gonna include it here.
Sure, why not?
So all of that, right? But Cornelia Funke, I'm sorry, I failed you. And I can't even give you a valid reason. At least with Cyberpunk, I could be like, it's too much.
Sometimes it just rubs you the wrong way.
It didn't catch me. I think it's the same reason why I never really got into The Walking Dead, which is what I meant with overlap, potentially, that we have. Because I think it's the same phenomenon. I've seen 6 seasons of The Walking Dead.
I've watched 3.
Because I've watched it because it was the favorite show at the time of a then friend of mine who was heartbroken, and we watched it as a comfort show, and I watched it with him.
What the fuck kind of comfort show is that?
One that has zero to do with romance.
Yeah, that's for fucking sure.
But I didn't continue watching. After 6 seasons, you'd think I may have developed Stockholm syndrome or something. I didn't. Because
everybody's so fucking unlikable.
There's not a single character. Daryl, maybe tops.
No,
because
this is what I don't get. Why is he so fucking popular? He always plays the same character.
He's the only fuckable one there.
How?
Because he's at least a little bit that he displays a little bit of I can save him. Just a little bit, because he's the grumpy, gruff, yet loyal, but hidden herd sort of ish character. But yeah.
There's more interesting and more handsome guys like that on TV
but
right
not
now.
in that show.
Of course.
There's
this is
no
why you
handsome...
stop watching The Walking fucking Dead.
Yeah, none of the female characters are at all relatable. Michonne is maybe...
I never even made it that far.
Yeah, she is.
And isn't she involved with Rick or something like this? Don't they have a romance going on at some point? But allow me to take over at this point, if I may, because
my point was no likable characters there, and for me, no identifiable characters in Ink. Hard.
Fair.
Continue.
But since you basically brought me onto this, because when I was about to leave high school, there was this phenomenon going on, and it was just about to be turned into films. Twilight.
Yes.
And everybody, I remember a lot of female friends of mine at the time were like, okay, they're doing the casting right now, and they cast this guy, and I don't think he's as good looking, like as I imagine him to be. Yada yada yada.
I mean, you could not live up to that if you just read the books. Well, Robert Pattinson could only lose.
Well, the thing is, I don't know.
He's way hotter than that, man.
But let me tell you this, I gave that thing a chance.
Right.
Because I didn't just sit down one night on Netflix and say, okay, let's watch the fucking film. No. I read the first book.
That is impressive because you're not at all the target audience. Not even slightly.
Fair. I realised that about 20 pages in.
Yeah.
But I powered through it. I don't know how I did it. But even going away from the fact that I'm not the target audience, that was abundantly clear early on. First of all, I was like, I just came from Interview with a Vampire by Anne Rice, great book.
Tough follow-up then.
Yeah, and I was like, vampires, cool. And I just got into Vampire the Masquerade, like the role-playing games, mostly the video games, not the pen and paper. But okay, what could possibly go wrong? Fucking everything!
Yeah, people take personal offense to Stephanie Meyer for what she did to vampires.
That's fair. But the thing is even not being the target demographic, there are things that are universally, in my opinion, problematic with that fucking book.
What? You don't think it's cute that he just stays by her bedside without her knowing and watches her sleep?
Well,
what?
if you think about the outset, we've got someone with self-esteem issues.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got a guy, he might look like a 17-year-old.
But he's 70 or 90 or 120.
He's over 100 years old, I think. And the thing is,
But that is every vampire story. In his defense, it's always like, also Dracula and stuff. How old is Dracula? And then he pines after what's her name? And
yeah, but I don't know, I never read the book fully, but the thing is, at least in the Bram Stoker. Drokers. In Francis Ford Coppola's adaptation, Bram Stoker's Dracula, starring Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Exactly. He sees her, and there's evidence for it, that she's the reincarnation of his true love, and she feels the same way. Not in a very healthy way, I agree. But, okay, fair enough. But, okay, the guy's over, I think he's 107 or something like that. Maybe
he lived
old.
through the Spanish flu war shit. So when American history, I'm not good with that. But that's how he died, Spanish flu.
And the problem here is one simple thing. You might look like you're 17, but there's no such thing as not making experiences over the times you're alive. That means the guy is way ahead of her in terms of life experience. And,
it's weird that she doesn't bore him, in a way,
Yeah, it just leaves you with one conclusion.
No, don't say it.
Well, I'm not going to say it, but, the guy is in serious need of therapy. And everything I don't know. It's a fantasy and all that, but there's a certain point where I'm like, this is problematic, and just everything about it sucks, of course. The classic thing, like, oh, he's sparkling, and then I tried to watch the movie, and even the main cast hates it. I mean,
he hates it. I don't think Kristen Stewart has that strong an opinion, but he famously hates it, and I have an opinion on that because I think don't sign on the project, and if you did, be professional.
Yeah, I agree with that because I saw the interview where it's like, okay, what's his name, Edward struck me as a so and so, and it's like, yeah, they don't sign on for
exactly.
It.
So
I understand.
Professionally speaking, I have opinions on that, but
I understand that he just came from Harry Potter and he tried to keep his career going.
Yeah.
But if you absolutely resent the character, it's going to show.
But I feel like I need to justify myself a little bit by telling my Twilight journey, because I feel if I put it into perspective, because I never hated Twilight. I prefer the books over the films massively because the books are way more interesting. Because they turn, like, the further along we get, the more that they add action elements and fantasy elements that make it more interesting.
But allow me to just conclude this.
Yes.
Because I read this, and like the majority of reading this was really like, wow, I'm really not the target demographic for this.
Yeah, no.
But for the most part, nothing
Happens.
I feel like of significance happens.
No.
And then like on the last 50 pages, they bring in
everything.
Yeah, like, oh, there's a different clan and they've got a tracker and everything. And
that storyline comes back in the third book.
I don't give a flying fuck. It rarely comes up in the first one.
But it's the driving force behind the
I
third
don't
book.
give a fuck. I read the first book and I'm just like, oh, somebody remembered to put some plot elements in here. You know, like really towards the fucking end. And it's like, this book is not romantic. This is just like when you go and watch The Phantom of the Opera. That's not romantic.
Okay, but that had me in tears at the end. Shush.
I'm terribly sorry. But you know, like this guy, and I think I watched a video essay by Lindsay Ellis, by the way, she's fantastic. You know, the guy is what we would consider at the very least the stalker, if not an incel.
Yeah.
But you know, like it's like this.
But he looks good, so it's fine.
How does no? Isn't this the whole point, that he's not good looking?
No,
that
he's not good looking.
Disfigured.
Beautiful voice,
But
though.
then you come to the conclusion when we do a musical film adaptation to cast Jared Butler. That was the obvious fucking choice, wasn't it? And you know, like as Christine Dyer, we have that to be honest, very talented. And I hate myself for not remembering her name. The female lead from Shameless, who was then kicked off the show because she wanted.
I never know her name.
More money.
Fiona.
But
I never know her name.
We do apologise for not remembering her name.
I love Shameless. I've rewatched the show 3 times. I love Shameless.
I can't. It's too depressing.
It's upbeat depressing.
Well, you know, like how did we get here? Okay, Phantom of the Opera.
No. Okay,
Twilight.
Okay, so my Twilight journey, just to put it into perspective. First of all, remember that I am, let me do the math, 8 years younger than you?
How old are you? Let's find out.
I'm 27.
I'm 35.
Yeah, sure. So, when the first Twilight film came out, I think I was around 9 or 10. Something like that. Maybe a little bit older. And I saw the first film before I read the book. The setting in which I saw the first film is very important here. Incredibly formative. I am a horse girl, right? I grew up horse riding. I was actually, I'm not kidding, because my mother had a horse, so I was actually on horseback before I could walk. Like, not even over exaggerating. And
run, be free, take my child away.
Yeah, you know, if her horse wouldn't have hated me, maybe. But you know how dogs get jealous when there's potential noob? Horses do that too. And horses are big and have hooves and weigh a lot. So my mom would not leave me alone with her horse, but you know, she would still put me on her back when she was like just leading her. So I started riding myself when I was 6. Different barn, different horses, but from 6 to 18, I, you know, been riding. And I also spent most of my holidays for at least 1, if not 2 weeks at the barn, because where I was just regularly ride twice a week, or 3 times a week, depending. They also offered just like, you know, horse barn holiday things. So I would just stay there and I had my horses there, yada, yada, yada. Once during those holiday weeks, because there was always a set rota of activities that we would do in the evenings and everything, was movie night.
Oh, nice.
So a whole bunch of young girls, ranging from age 6, because that was the minimum age requirement, to oh my god, like you also had like old ones that were like taking care of everything, you know, just like sort of like the mentors sort of. So like everything from 6 to 18, 20, let's call it, was there. And in that setting, and obviously all girls, because at that age, the majority of people who go on these kind of things it's just girls. I don't know. the equine sport is dominated by men, so at some point it switches. So when it gets, to professional level, like Olympia and stuff, there's more men than women. I don't know where they come from, because in my experience, no boys ride. But then suddenly you amp the age up to 35, and there's all these men that have been doing this since they were like 5, and like, where do you come from? It doesn't matter. So a whole room filled with 6 to 20 years old girls watch Twilight.
Yay.
That is how I watched the first one. And obviously it was...
And puberty hit that room like a ton of bricks.
See, that's the thing, right? For the older girls, of course. I was too young still for it, but that's what I saw. And I feel like it was sort of like an imprinting thing, because I saw how they reacted. So my brain was like, that.
How did they react?
Oh, they loved it. I mean, obviously they loved it. They squealed. They were super invested. They were like, oh my God, he's so dreamy.
No, he's not. And then, like, fuck that scene. Like, in the book, as well as in the movie, it was just like, I have to show you something. And he gets into the sun and he starts glittering.
And jumps up on a tree.
And he starts glittering. It's like, you should fear me. You should something like that. And she's like, not moving an inch in the face whatsoever.
And
like,
you know what I hate? I hate that they kept the line. So the lion fell in love with the lamb in there. Because in the film, it has zero built up.
Who says that line?
Edward does.
But let me... I mean, how far removed is Edward from reality to think that something that sparkles is considered evil? I don't know what happened to him.
He could still kill her by snipping his fingers.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. But why is the thing that sparkles the one thing that's supposed to sort of
because it's the
drive her
idea
away?
Of luring away his luring in his prey. He smells nice. His pheromones are what lures her in. He looks nice. He is attractive, and that's all because he's a predator. Because that is exactly how, say, Venus flytraps smell irresistible to insects, so they fly there.
Well, where does the glittering part come in?
I don't know, because it doesn't seem threatening, like you said. That works in his favour if he wants to eat
fair
her.
enough. It doesn't seem threatening. I get that. But, like, at the same time, even though I like sparkly things, if somebody starts...
I love sparkly things.
If somebody starts sparkling in front of me, it's like, I'm not like, oh, that's ugly, or, like, you're a monster. I'm just like, mate, what's that?
No, when someone starts sparkling in front of me, I'd be like, what body mist are you using? Because I want it. Because I do have sparkling body lotion. But, I
need to go into...
Okay, so my point is, that is how I saw the first film. And then I read the book. So obviously I already approached it with a very clearly formed opinion I was supposed to have at a very easily impressionable age. So I feel like that plays a massive role into my Twilight. I was never obsessed like other girls were, but I enjoyed the books. I think I reread them even. I'm not sure, except for the second one. Oh my God, I remember this so vividly. Me and my parents, we were in Dresden, I believe.
Always a great place to be.
It's pretty nature, and the what's the word I'm looking for? Just downtown, with like the rebuilt areas before the war. Very pretty. But I remember I started reading the second book, and we were doing a boat tour through down the Elbe River there, through absolutely stunning countryside. I think it's not UNESCO, but it is incredibly.
It's worth preserving.
It's stunning. It's beautiful. It's this limestone mountain range and everything there, and it's actually, guys, Google it. It's insane. I saw none of that because I had started reading this, like, what is it? Not Twilight. Whatever comes after the second book. I forget what the title is.
May I just ask? You read that during the boat ride? Is that correct?
Yes, because the important part here is I started reading the second book and he breaks up with her and he vanishes. And I'm like, fuck that. So I skip through the pages I'm just like, where's his name again? Where's his name again? Where's his name again? Wait, there they are talking. Okay, he's back. Put my finger in. It's like 3/4 through the book, obviously. Put my finger in there to mark the spot. And just read. And I read Edward back into Bella's life. And I read their relationship back to life. And I saw none of what we did. I was just reading. It's like speed of light.
But let me ask the important questions here from how I was brought up.
Oh, right.
Boat ride. Mm-hmm. Touristy thing. Mm-hmm. You paid money for it. Mm-hmm. Your parents paid money for it.
Yeet.
They were there.
Yeet.
I would have never been able to read a book when my mum paid money for things like, you look at the bloody scenery. It's like, that book would have drowned that very day.
It's because my mother very much understands the hyper-focus of a story. So she was like, you're going through something, I understand. Take as much time as you need.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's what you get for having a massive nerd as a mum. It's great. She understands the hyper focus on things. My dad not so much, but my dad doesn't care that much.
I feel like I think the closest you can get with my mum to being nerdy about things is the James Bond franchise.
Right.
Because when I was growing up, we watched 2 types of Bond films: Sean Connery Bonds and Roger Moore.
I see.
Because
classic gentleman bonds.
The
misogynistic gentleman bonds.
My mum had the hots for Sean Connery.
I mean, can you blame her?
Right, because
At
20 times no and 1 time yes make an absolute yes. But it was the time of Pierce Brosnan as Bond. And I was like, yeah, can't we just watch, I don't know, GoldenEye, which one of the new ones? No, are you crazy? Pierce Brosnan's not a Bond. And it was like, even, don't bring that up, because my mum had choice opinions on what was his face, Timothy Dalton. Mm-hmm. But yeah, other than that, I don't know if my mum read Inkheart, the trilogy, and my mum read the Chronicles of Narnia, all of it.
Right.
But these books were originally intended for me, but she enjoyed the shit out of them, and I never did.
My mum binges shows with me to this day. My mom and I have binged all of Supernatural together, and we started watching, she was watching it when it was on free TV here in Germany, so 2008 or something, I think, because it was released in 2005 in America, and I think 3 years later in Germany. Sounds about right. It was on at a later hour, not prime time, but after, so 10 something. 9:30 something, maybe then. I wasn't allowed to watch at that point, because I was in 2008 I was 11. So I wasn't allowed to watch anything past prime time. Then my bedtime was 9:15 or something. But my mom was watching Supernatural at the time, and then when I got a little bit older, I started watching it as well, and I got obsessed with it. My Supernatural phase was uncanny.
You might have noticed.
No, I think I've been very good with that so far. There's so much more. And we started playing catch up when I got into it, with because then at the time season 6 was being released in German dub, because I didn't speak English at the time yet, so I wasn't watching anything in OV. I actually learned English to the level that I speak it now a lot through watching Supernatural in OV, because I didn't have the patience to wait for the German dub to come out. And
Excellent.
That and Harry Potter, because Supernatural and Harry Potter, I knew the German versions basically by heart. So I read the books in English of Harry Potter, and I watched Supernatural in English because I knew what they were saying, because I knew the episode. During those years, when we were playing catch up from season 1 to season 6, one season, one episode, 45 to 50 minutes, 23 seasons per episode on average. 23 episodes per season, that way around. With the exception of season 3, because there was a writer's strike, but it doesn't matter. So quite a substantial amount of hours, is what I'm saying. And I would always get 1 or 2 seasons for Christmas or my birthday at the time.
Oh, that's nice.
Or, for good report card at school or something like that, that way. Because they cost, I don't know, 20 quid, 30 quid, something like that. And my mom and I at the time we would go to Denmark twice a year usually for a weekend during spring holidays or, over Christmas sometimes. And during those holidays in Denmark, all my mum and I would do was sit in front of the TV and binge Supernatural.
It's really good that you went to another place to do that. I feel that's essential.
That's, yeah. My mum and my dad would sometimes take a walk, like outside.
Plebs.
Right. I didn't join because boring. And then that's all we did. My dad would suffer through it, basically. Here and there, my dad and I would play some kicker or some air hockey, or pool, whatever the house had that we had rented.
You went into nicer holiday homes than I did.
Yeah. But that's the hyperfixation level that my mother shares with me, because she didn't do it because she was doing me a favor, but because she was equally obsessed as I was. And yeah.
Right. All right.
Okay, anyway, Jesus.
Slight detour. I think maybe we have an overlap here. I'll just try.
Go ahead.
Breaking Bad.
An overlap? Yes, actually, yes.
Have you watched it?
I've never finished it. And I think that says everything.
How far did you make it into the show? I made it 3 seasons in.
I have no idea what season that is. I remember 2 main plot points. One, I think that season 2 is the whole build-up of the plane debris falling into the pool.
Yeah.
And there's these close-ups of this teddy bear in the pool that at a later date you only start putting together, because you only at a later date then get the information that this plane only crashed because the person what's that job called? Not the pilot, but the person organizing the planes from the ground, from the tower, was the dad of the junkie girlfriend of Jesse, who Walter killed with an overdose so that Jesse would stop.
Well, he didn't interfere when she was rolling on her back and she was vomiting.
Yeah, exactly. When she basically had
suffocated.
Yeah, she had OD'd and he didn't help. So in a way he killed her. And because she died, her dad then didn't manage to do his job properly and the planes collided.
I do remember something like that.
I think that's season 2. And I don't think I've watched much past that. I have already seen the introduction of the chicken dude.
Yeah. He's doing well for himself. He was in. He was in, I think, Far Cry 5 or 6. He was
also
in The Mandalorian.
Wasn't he also in the spin-off show? The Jesse's spin-off show? And no, that's a film. Sorry, Jesse has a film. El Camino.
There was Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul. I think he's in that one as well. But yeah, so I've no idea how far that is. Not very far. I did already get to the I'm the one who knocks thing, I think, or I may have seen enough context for that scene to remember it.
I mean, like, I got late to the party,
same,
really late,
so late, same.
And I think the fandom, or the way, sort of permeated popular culture, ruined the show for me. Because, everybody's like, oh, Heisenberg, he's so cool. I'm the one who knocks. I am the danger and whatnot. And I expected something else entirely.
That's rough.
And, this is not to take away from the quality of the show, because it's well written.
It was groundbreaking for the time.
It was groundbreaking for the time. It really made Bryan Cranston's career.
And I love Bryan Cranston before this already.
Same.
Malcolm in the Middle.
Absolutely. And it already showed in certain moments that he was always a great actor.
Can we just quickly talk about the dedication that man has to his craft? Because Malcolm in the Middle features insane stunts with him, with the silly dad. And he did them all himself.
Yeah.
The man fell off a roof. In some weird way, and I remember distinctly there's a thing with bees where he was completely covered in bees. That was not and naked, by the way. I think he was butt naked and he was completely covered in bees.
But it's not only the dedication in terms of
himself. No stuntman whatsoever. He did all of that. That man is insane.
I think I most vividly...
He's likable, he's funny. Oh.
I think I most vividly remember, like there's... I think he's about to open... I think a checking account or something like that for Malcolm. And he's sitting in the bank, and the bank teller gives him a pen. And he remembers how his father used this pen to open the first bank account for him, and he starts reminiscing. And it's it's an incredibly acted scene, I must say. And after that I watched things like Trumbo, and like Bryan Cranston really had his breakthrough late in his
Why him?
Relatively late.
Why Him is one of the funniest films I've seen in a long time. It's James Franco.
Yeah, James Franco,
and
not at all problematic.
It's not a great film in terms of like, it's not groundbreaking or anything. It's your very standard story of, girl has fiance that dad doesn't approve of, and then in the end it's a heartwarming thing where they get along.
But if you have a solid performance, you can elevate it.
And it's funny because I think Bryan Cranston and James Franco have a fantastic chemistry, and it's Bryan Cranston in the, like, he is a loving dad, and he is a serious character in a way, in a silly comedy. He doesn't ruin the mood of the film by being too strict. He doesn't... He supports the comedy without being silly.
I mean...
And the man can do anything, really. He can't do no... If Bryan Cranston is in anything, for me, these days, it's a guarantee.
Absolutely.
Oh,
and
sorry,
the thing is exactly...
Massive Bryan Cranston stan here.
And so I started watching Breaking Bad, and you knew certain things, like, okay, the guy turns to making meth because of, like, a cancer diagnosis.
Money.
And, but I did not see the tone of the show coming because, again, from what had permeated popular culture, I expected something else. And again, the show's incredibly well written, it's incredibly well acted, and it's bleak as fuck.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't prepared for this. I loved the performances. I really did. The writing, again, was excellent. But at some point I couldn't deal with it anymore because it became bleaker and bleaker. We see a man losing his humanity with
brilliantly acted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliantly
with the goal of setting up his family to be okay when
After
he's
his
gone.
death. Yeah.
But there's also things in there like for example, there's rich friends of the family who are willing to pay for his entire treatment.
See, that drove me insane. He's being offered so many outs, and he just didn't take them out of hubris.
Exactly.
If you call me.
And this is where I sat, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, acted well, written well, but you are a horrible person, and you're turning worse and worse and worse. At some point, it became too bleak for me. And I was like, I can't watch this anymore. And like this celebration of Heisenberg and everything, I was like, did we watch the same show?
You guys, you're taking the wrong turn from this.
This is like when you
he's
have,
not supposed to be celebrated.
When you have this list of people where it's just like you've got Tyler Durden, you've got Rick from Rick and Morty, you've got
the Joker from Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Yeah, or like even the Heath Ledger one, or you've got Heisenberg and everything.
Not to be glorified.
Exactly. I understand the fascination of all of those characters.
But to say like they are interesting.
I'm like XYZ, and just like I feel like I'm the joke's like, mate, then please seek help.
Energy, massive
please
incel
seek
energy.
help. And the thing is, the fascination is fine. This is like Hans Lander in Inglourious Basterds.
Oh.
He is fascinating as
Best
fuck.
character in the show.
But you do realize you shouldn't emulate him.
No, maybe not. Don't
and
be a Nazi
like you advertise that very clearly by being a Nazi Jew hunter.
Yeah.
Not as clear a line as it used to be, but most people still get the idea that as fascinating a performance as this is, you're not rooting for the guy, hopefully.
No.
And the thing is, I mean, I never made it to the end of Breaking Bad.
Neither did I.
But the thing is,
I don't even know how it ends, to be honest. I think people have
there's a
told
lot
me.
of death involved.
I think that the only thing of one of the later seasons that I know was because a friend of mine from school, we're not in touch anymore, but like we were friends in school. She was a massive Breaking Bad fan, but she took issue with one episode called The Fly, I believe.
No
where
idea.
It's an entire episode, experimental episode, that just follows a fly. and the fly is, I think, in the lab or in Walter's home. I don't know. And she said that dragged incredibly, and that is very much towards the end. So in a way, she felt like they were just delaying the end a little bit with that. Not a filler episode, but akin to it. But I've actually no idea how the show ends. I suppose he dies because terminal cancer diagnosis. I know that Jesse doesn't die because he gets his spin-off movie, El Camino. And obviously Saul doesn't die because Better Call Saul then is after the show. But the thing is, what I stopped watching, and this is such a weird, superficial reason, but it took a toll on me to always expect some form of, I'm gonna loosely call it body horror, with the drugs. Because I'm actually incredibly sensitive for some reason, in films and TV series to any sort of substance abuse. I think we've talked about this before on the trauma thing where I was like, the elephants in Dumbo killed me.
Oh yeah.
And this carries over to this day. Where I think I just had some formative experiences in some shows where the drug and alcohol prevention that was very much done for young teens took root with me in a very clear way, and I can't do vomit. I can't do vomit at all. Like I can watch a Saw, no problem. Blood spraying, intestines, all cool, all good. I can't do vomit. And
there's just something about it, isn't there?
And anything fluid-wise ejected from the body, I struggle with. And if your plot revolves around drug abuse, drugs and junkies, scenes like Jesse's girlfriend's overdose, I can't see the frothing. I can't see the vomiting. I can't see people shitting or pissing their pants because they are in withdrawal. Anything like that, I have zero tolerance for that. I can't. And that stressed me out. Because as good as the show was, that was always going to be some part of the plot point. Because even if it's none of the main characters that are really struggling with drugs that much, there is the people you deal to. There is the customers. It's just an extra in a minute in an episode. And I'm just, no, go away.
I feel like, exactly. I'm fine with things being bleak. But, I felt at some point, and, this is a personal thing, just like with you not being able to, deal with certain things.
Yeah.
If things appear to me to be only bleak, I'm like, this is, for example, why I don't enjoy most of the zombie genre, because in most scenarios the world has ended.
Mate, let yourself be bitten and be done with it.
Don't let yourself be bitten, but shoot yourself in the head.
Yeah,
because what are you hoping for?
Yeah,
getting by.
Yeah,
like seriously, the world's ended. You're not going to you're going to meet some strangers. You're going to be on the lookout. I'm just like, I don't want to live in this world.
Yeah,
and I don't find it interesting. The exception being, of course, Shaun of the Dead, because it's a brilliant satire on it. But this is like where I can't. And the thing is with Breaking Bad, yes, it was bleak, but at the same time, I also binged it for as long as I watched it. Because
that's the thing. I binged it, then I turned it off, never turned it back on.
And the thing is, no, I watched it for quite a while, and the thing is, though, because it's fascinating, it's so well done, but at the same time, it dragged me down because I'm like, this is so well done, but I don't want to watch it anymore because, again, fantastic in everything it tried.
What are you telling me about society here?
Or what am I, and especially hours at a time am I, consuming. I'm like, you've done nothing wrong. I just can't deal with it, and this is.
It's not you, it's me.
In a way, it really was.
Yeah, no,
because I can't fault the show for it.
Yeah.
And my expectations were tinted by what I expected from the fandom I'd seen. Well, this might be about because people were quoting it back and forth.
That was the thing. I didn't have any expectations towards the show. I don't know if it's an ADHD thing. I'm not diagnosed, but sometimes I feel like there may be hints. But I need to be in the very much correct mindset to watch or start something.
Same.
I will have a million things on my list, but I will rewatch the same YouTube video for the 5th time rather than start that show or that film.
I think a lot of people are like this because, like...
Until that one moment happens, once in a blue moon, and suddenly you're like, now.
Yeah, absolutely. And exactly. I mean, I think a lot of people can relate. I certainly can. You're on Netflix, you're like, I've always been meaning to watch this one. But you mostly return to things you already know.
Comfort rewatches.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I even
have that with YouTube videos. I have comfort Let's Plays that I rewatch.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't watched The Lord of the Rings in over 15 years, and I bought the 4K Blu-ray extended edition, and it's standing in my living room, and I don't know when to start.
Yeah.
Because in extended, I think every movie's like 4 hours, and I know I'm going to enjoy it, but I find reasons not to. And there's going not to watch it, and there's going to be a moment where I was like, right, this is the moment I'm going to watch The Fellowship.
It's the same how I feel about, say, I don't know, cleaning my place. Well, I'm like, I'm not living in filth, obviously not. But sometimes you are in your room and you're like, this is messy. This could be better. I cannot physically bring myself to do it now.
Same.
And then suddenly, at a random, say, Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m., you're like, I need to clean right now. And you know to follow up on that because you're like, okay, I realize this is a 20-minute window during which I can start this task. Otherwise, it will be impossible for another week.
It happened to me this morning. Like, literally, I came off night shift.
Yesterday, so I'll talk about it.
and I was like, okay, I've got 2 hours. We're going to record later. I've got 2 hours before I need to get to the gym.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is the moment. And I was like doing a lot of things, like intertwined. Mm-hmm. Everything felt fine, and I felt so much better about it. But it felt impossible before that. But
I do think it's an ADHD thing, but
it might be. I'm diagnosed.
Yeah,
it might have to do with it. I don't want to, like, sort of just push it all on it.
No,
but it's
of
just
course
like
not.
it's just
when we
sometimes
say
you're
these,
just not motivated.
When we say these things, we say it in like a bantery. I feel like also joke appropriate of the times we live in type thing, because let's be real, like any autism or ADHD joke is very much in keeping with the times right now, which is not at all to put down the actual illnesses or diagnoses, not in the slightest. What we do is how we mean it is in terms of like we relate to this certain thing and we make light of it because we experience it without at all trying to diminish people suffering from it in a way that keeps them from living their day-to-day life.
Absolutely.
Just to put it once in a serious note. But yeah, I'm incapable of functioning sometimes. But it was the same thing with Breaking Bad. I remember I started watching it during times when torrenting shows or films was not illegal, but there was a time here in the EU where it was sort of a grey zone, where as long as you didn't download it, it didn't count as pirating. As long as you streamed it online and you didn't download it. That was before 2016. 2016, there was some law passed, I forget what it was, that I think, don't quote me on this, oh my fucking god, do not quote me on this, but I think it had to do with it being in your cache, like counting as you downloading it illegally, which it will automatically be if you stream it, because you technically downloaded for...
You've got temporary files.
Exactly. And then, of course, when you empty your cache, it's gone again. But in 2016, that flipped. So since then, I've actually not been torrenting anything anymore. But before, I would. And that's how I watched Breaking Bad, because that allowed me, in a way, during my high school years, because I graduated high school in 2016, to just wake up on a random Saturday morning, lay in bed, and just have a random urge for a random film or a random show, grab my laptop, and go. And that's how I watched Breaking Bad. For a certain amount of time, not very long, and again, then I turned it off and never turn it back on. I have that with some shows. I'm also, people may have noticed, a massive anime fan. Less so these days, because sometimes I'm so exhausted from my day that I just do not have the brain capacity to read subtitles that long with a language I barely understand. But one of the most popular animes that came out in the last 10-15 years, I would say, was Attack on Titan. You may have heard of it.
Yes, I have.
And I finished it by now, and I'm glad I did. I enjoyed the ride while it lasted. People have opinions on the end. I understand why people have opinions on the end, but show me a show where they don't. It was the same thing, but I returned to it. So I started watching Attack on Titan, and at the time, I forget when it came out, 2012 or something. It looks stunning. I can maybe show you just the
I've watched
the
a couple of
animation.
episodes.
It looks beautiful. It has one of the best openings of all time. And I enjoyed it. It's an engaging story. I like the characters. I very much enjoy your classic, willpower driven main lead. All that. It all good and well. Super interesting. I was thinking about, oh my god, what could they be? The Titans posed a substantial threat that made it very interesting to watch. All good. So I would watch, I don't know, 5, 6, 10 episodes in one sitting, turn it off, did something else, and then for days on end, not keep watching.
Yeah, and
for no reason whatsoever. I enjoyed it while I watched it, and
you never return. I had it with what's it called? Sons of Anarchy. There was nothing wrong with the show. There was nothing wrong with the show. I started it on Netflix a few years ago. And nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But at some point you turn it off and never turn it on again.
Yeah. Attack on Titan, I did eventually go through bursts and finish all of it. But yeah, Breaking Bad was a similar thing where I didn't particularly have an issue with it other than it being stressful for me to always expect things that would gross me out. But story-wise, I mean, Skylar annoyed me. But I think that's a universal opinion. I think most people are annoyed by Skylar. And I was stressed out by his brother-in-law hunting him. More so than I should have been. I was pretty... I don't know, that storyline gave me anxiety, but not in a I want to keep watching way, but in a weird, real way. It rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know. And then I turned it off one day and never turned it back on.
Fair.
Yeah.
Right. Why don't we do one more before we sign off?
One more.
What do you
Okay.
have?
Let me think which one would be a good one to end on. I have 2 games still. Franchises, sort of, still lined up. And, I mean, we basically talked about The Walking Dead. And we also briefly talked about Game of Thrones. Because I watched all of Game of Thrones.
I really don't.
It has zero rewatchability for me. None.
I stopped after, I think, season 5,
Okay. You know what? Then let's go games again. Finish it up with games.
Good. I like that.
The 2 games that I have lined up there are Skyrim.
Okay, fair.
And Assassin's Creed.
The franchise?
Sort of. I think we're gonna be done fairly quickly with Skyrim, so let's do both. So I got into gaming fairly late, right? Other than your classic Nintendo games, like Super Mario Bros. Or
sure.
something like that, because I didn't have a console. I had a Switch at the age of, oh my god, 20? And that was my first console. Before that, it was a Wii and a Nintendo. DS, obviously. So I didn't play games. I played Mario Kart, Nintendogs, Animal Crossing, chill games. But nothing, no AAA games, nothing.
Nothing too involved, I suppose.
Never had a gaming PC setup available. I never had a PlayStation available at my disposal. Never had an Xbox available at my disposal. Then when I got my Switch, that's also how I played The Witcher, because that was the first game that I played, and that was on the Switch because it got ported, and I got it for £5, I think, on a New Year's sale, 2019.
Okay.
I think. And then I was like, oh, this was great. Let's get other games that I know the names of, that I know people love, and play them. So I got Skyrim for the Switch. And I think it has to do with the fact that nobody in their real right mind these days will play Skyrim without mods. But obviously you couldn't mod it on the Switch, so I played it raw. Raw, original, virgin Skyrim from 2010, I think it is. Yeah, I couldn't.
Allow me. Because I never played Skyrim with mods. And first I played it on PC. And I'm a bit older. So my first foray into the whole Elder Scrolls series was Morrowind.
Which is
There
the
was
one
two games
before.
prior. So I think first there was Arena, then there was Daggerfall. That was before my time. I remember seeing footage of Morrowind on a gaming show that ran late at night, and I was like, wow, this looks amazing, and had absolutely no role-playing game experience whatsoever. So I didn't know how that worked, that you know, like chose certain talents and then you try to, you know, build them up. But the world fascinated me. And then came Oblivion, which was the sequel, and which was more bland in many ways because it felt more like your classic high fantasy setting. Because, you know, like normally every installment explores a different part of this world, you know, a different region. And now you've got them all together basically in Elder Scrolls Online, which is fantastic. And I played Skyrim. And I am too lazy to install mods.
Right.
And, you know, I had a flatmate at the time who was like, you know, like you can't enjoy Skyrim without mods. And I'm like,
I've been told that as well.
But since I had experience, you know, like with both Oblivion and Morrowind, I sort of knew how these type of games worked from Bethesda, who's the developer.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it was always, you know, you try to emulate a massive world with a lot of things in there, which means your scripting of things is limited.
Yes.
It became, of course, better with every, you know, like further installment, but it's still sort of awkward. It's like, we're going to take the city, all 6 of us.
Yeah.
You know, like, and we're having a massive war because you still have to do this sort of in real time with NPCs around. Of course, you can instance things when you take the city because, you know, like the city loads when you go inside of it.
Yeah.
But it was always awkward because, you know, like when you spoke to someone, it was always a bit weird because, you know, like they couldn't really move around. It wasn't very dynamic. And I can only imagine it had a certain charm because you had a certain level of freedom.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, especially when you come from a game like The Witcher,
and that's
which
my
is so
problem.
dynamic.
That was my problem.
Which fleshes out characters so well. And, you know, like in believable relationships.
Yeah.
But no, because in Skyrim, I feel no matter how much time you spend with a character, it doesn't really feel like you're connected to them because your hero stays silent.
All the time.
And, you know, like...
And Skyrim throws you out in this massive world and gives you barely anything. It doesn't really take you by the hand. It does a little bit at the beginning, but then you're like,
well,
there you go. And I couldn't.
Well, you can quite comprehensively follow the storyline, so don't get me wrong. But the thing is, I played through it, and because Skyrim, in the way the game is built, works the way it works, it just feels like after the climax, for me, the climax barely felt like anything.
Yeah.
You're done with it.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, oh, this just happened. Or, you know, like, oh, I did this and now I'm no longer part of this group. But it didn't feel like there was a schism or something happening. It's just like, oh.
I didn't even get to a point where I had a group. I left. I got out. You know, I didn't get executed. Dragons attacked. I got out. Then I got to, what is that little village? Whiteflow? What something?
Yeah, I know.
Whiterun
might be
something like that. And then I think I got to the first ruin thing where you learn the screaming thingy.
Yeah, the first shout.
Yeah, and that's it. That's it.
And let me tell you, as someone who played through it, and this is one of my comfort games basically because you know, like.
Yeah, and it's for a lot of people. That's why I was like, "Ooh, I will play this." But
yeah, and you know, like I like to do sneaky shit, so I became a sneaky archer.
Yeah, I don't.
I got the best, you know, like armor you can get for that.
I'm a tank person. Let me run in there and bash people.
I got the best bow because I like for people to be dead before they can become dangerous for me.
Yeah.
So I played through it, and you have this massive world where you can do lots of things, but to me, it never felt that anything I did mattered. Because in the way the story is told, because in the way this world works, you know, like it has certain things it can do and it has certain things it can't do. And, you know, for me, it never felt epic because just like oh, now you've taken that city. Oh, now you've taken out this or done that.
And I will say one more thing, and that is super unfair of me to put on the game because it is a product of its time. Again, I think it came out in 2010. And it's very unfair to compare it to games that came out later. But again, my order of things was Witcher 3 and then Skyrim. And the gameplay in Skyrim on the Switch was horrendous because all you had to do was press L1 and R1 to attack. The hitboxes were all over the place. I couldn't figure them out. And even magic didn't work on any other trigger than L1 and R1 or L2 and R2, I forget.
Yeah, because you've got your two hands.
Yes.
Where you can assign certain things
and that
to.
Was boring. If you have The Witcher where you had like, your melee attacks, you have I never used the crossbow because I feel like the crossbow was very awkward in Witcher still. But then again, that game came out in 2016, so I'm gonna cut it some slack as well. Now in Baldur's Gate I use the fucking crossbow all the time, but then turn-based combat can't compare. But in Witcher you had your melee, your silver sword, your steel sword, fast attack, dodge, strong attack, and then you had the whole rota of your spells, which you could select. I think it's, let me lie from the top of my head, what is it, 6 different ones that you have the wheel to rota through. You gotta look at recharging it. You have your potions, you have alchemy, you have bombs. It's a very fledged out combat system where you can use it in the way that caters to you. And in Skyrim, which is, it's fair, it's 6 years older than that. A lot happens in game development in 6 years. But it was 2 buttons. And a hitbox, I couldn't understand.
Yeah, it all depends, on exactly where you play it on. So, because,
maybe it was a port. Maybe it was just a shit port.
No, but the thing is, you're playing it on console. So, you've got a certain limited amount of buttons and things you can do. So if you play it on a keyboard, of course, you've got, shortcuts and everything. So that, of course, is always a bit more comfortable.
Yeah. You say that I've never played anything.
The thing is, though, and in the way the world works, it feels stiff. It's just in the way,
the world feels hostile. More than it should.
Fair, because, I always snuck through the world. Because, that also increases your skill. Plus, you have that little eye symbol that tells you, okay, you're hidden or you can be seen. Because, I hated it running through the wild. All of a sudden, I had a wolf bite.
Suddenly there's a wolf, a mammoth.
Bite on my ass and I didn't notice. But when you sneak and all of a sudden the eye turns open, you realise, okay, somebody's there. And chances are they're hostile. But the thing is, I played through, I think, most every quest in the game. And they've got random generating ones. But the thing is, at this point, I'm so overpowered. And I'm just, sometimes I haven't installed it now on my PlayStation. But sometimes I just sneak through the world. There's a random farmer walking down the road minding his own fucking business. That guy's getting a headshot. Just, to show myself that I can still do it. Because, what's he done? Fucking nothing. But
I can.
I'm the deadliest thing alive. And that fucking farmer, not on my watch. But the thing is, it's exactly that. For, it's a bit of a walking archery simulator at this point.
And that bores me because I don't like playing too stealthy. I like stealth here and there. I have to bring this back to Baldur's Gate all the time, not just because it's the most prominent game that I've played lately, but because you can put your party together with NPCs if you play on your own, right? And there's a shit ton of NPCs with their different storylines that you get. I think I have about 8 lined up in my camp right now, and you can only take 3 with yourself, so that you're always a party of 4. Unless you mod it, but originally party of 4. And in my playthrough that I have on my own, I am a cleric druid, and I have with me a barbarian, I have with me a wizard, and I have with me an assassin.
Of course, you have to keep it balanced.
Exactly. And you play them all, right? Because it's turn-based combat. And
exactly.
You
switch
decide...
roles and you give them commands.
And then you tell them what to do. And I enjoy my assassin there. Because, he is shit in hand-to-hand combat. Because that's not his forte at all. But if I get him to hide, if I get him to a convenient place, and then have him snipe from the roof, one shots all around. And that is satisfying. in turn-based combat, because you have your tank strategy, and with my cleric druid thing I have sort of like a mixture of like magic wielder and tank opportunities, so I'm kind of like a jack of all trades sort of character, also because I can never decide which way to build, so I build it really nearly, and then you have your tank and your wizard, and it's all great, distance combat and close combat, and that's great for me in the turn-based principle. But when I play role play game in terms of like action combat, let's call it, like The Witcher, I am very much a brute force type person. I'm a button mashing type person. And I don't think Skyrim lends itself to that at all.
Yeah, well...
Which is not to take away from the game, because I know people who have over 1,000 hours.
And
what?
I can see why.
It's a cultural phenomenon, for sure.
As someone who played through it.
Yeah.
And the thing is...
They didn't even play through it.
But I'd never say, like, this is a fantastic game. It serves... It sort of scratches an itch for me, where it's just like, okay, I can do this. It kills time for me.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm thinking like, wow, this was a very memorable moment. It has its moments, like with things like the Dark Brotherhood or the Thieves Guild, where it's just like, okay, this is a neat idea, poorly executed because of how the world works. But this is like, for example, when I play an MMO, for example, like Elder Scrolls Online, you expect certain limitations, and within that it works well because it gives you an interesting world, things I might have seen in earlier RPGs of the series. I'm just like, this is fun. And I used to play it with a friend of mine who also had it on his PlayStation. It's like, should we after the shift tonight play a little bit?
That's nice.
And we'd be on the phone and just like, let's go there, or let's try this. Oh, this is interesting, because the level also scales.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's cool. So it does, I think, in Skyrim.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just something, there's a certain level of artificiality, I suppose, that I was never able to overlook. It was never like, I feel like I'm having a relationship with these characters. The Witcher did differently. Yeah. Where it's just like,
Geralt is my boy.
Geralt, Vesemir, Yennefer,
Ciri.
They all felt like flashed out characters.
Dandelion. How can we forget Dandelion?
I was invested.
Jaskier is my boy.
And like when somebody died in Skyrim, it was like, okay, another very damaged person just died. I'm sure somebody will find it tragic.
I don't.
It's not going to be me.
Yeah.
And this is I get that. As someone who played through it and played a lot of time in it, I understand why. Because in a way, as much as I played, I never fully got into it.
I absolutely 100% appreciate what it did for the genre. Open world and fantasy and MMO. Role playing. Groundbreaking at the time. Absolutely. But the world, coming back to it, and I guess it comes down to the point of like starting it now. Even though I've said earlier in the episode, anachronistic readings are difficult, it's very hard to take a step backwards in time if you haven't been exposed to it at the time of release.
It all depends. It all depends on if what you're good at, you're excellent at. Because, like, for example, my first Mario was Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo. Maybe a little bit at a demo station of Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES. But brilliant. So I still love this game. Years later, I have people who never played this, and I give it to them. I say, have fun.
Yeah.
And they do.
Yeah.
Because it works so well, and it's not just, like, don't get me wrong, people pick up Skyrim these days and they have
Mario,
they have a good time.
Yeah.
But there's something that's clearly timeless. This is why platformers are still around. This is why 16-bit platformers are still being made to this very day.
2 months ago, I bought the new Mario.
And there you go.
There you go.
There's certain things that still work. But maybe let's do Assassin's Creed.
Yes, because I mentioned it. It's sort of up the same alley. I've played 2 Assassin's Creeds.
I think, okay.
And the first one I tried, and it had the same issue Skyrim did, because it was on the Switch, was Black Flag.
Oh, I played that one.
And I know people love Black Flag. I know it's a beloved installment.
It's one of the most quoted ones of the series.
Yeah, I couldn't. Because it was the same thing. Because after Skyrim had failed me, I got that. And it was sort of the same thing where the gameplay on the Switch let me down. I struggled. I couldn't really deal with it. I didn't get very far. And I mean, as I've said before now, I'm not the stealthiest player. So Assassin's Creed, of course, is a bit of a stretch for me, considering what the setup is. But you can, of course, play it non-stealthily.
Exactly, because those people around you are very nice. They always attack one at a time. You can parry, you can kill, you parry the next, you kill the next.
And I have played, the other one that I've played is Odyssey.
I've played that one as well.
And I love Greek mythology.
So do
I love ancient Greece, and
So do I.
I have actually been physically to most of the places that you visit in the game. And I will give it to Assassin's Creed, the accuracy to the locations in all of the games is insane.
It feels like going on holiday, it really does.
A then friend of mine, who used to be my best friend, we're no longer really speaking, he visited me in London for the first time when I had moved there to study in 2016 or 2017. I don't know when he came over for the first time. And he was standing, I think we were walking over to St. Paul's from Blackfriars, because I think he arrived late at night, I think around 9 or 10 at Blackfriars, because he took the Thames link from Gatwick. And we were there, we didn't have anything planned early the next day, so I was like, you know what, London at night is beautiful, we need to get out to Canary Wharf, so let's just walk over to Bank and take the DLR from there. So we walk past St. Paul's, and he stands in front of the cathedral on the square that's right there, and he just goes, I've never been here, but I've played Assassin's Creed.
Syndicate.
And I feel like I know all of this. I know what's down there, and I'm looking at it, and it's actually there. And I was like, that's insane. And I always thought he was over-exaggerating a bit. But then I played Odyssey, and I have been to Olympia. I have been to Delphi. I have been to the places. And other than, I will say that the steepness of the hills where the Oracle of Delphi is placed these days is grossly underestimated in the game. Because if you are there in person, if you slip once, you slide down a hill, that's ridiculous. The incline is ridiculous. That was one of the most exhausting walks in my life, from the town up to the temple of Apollon. Other than that, incredibly, incredibly accurate. And I have played a good bit of Odyssey because I have it on my now gaming laptop that I got in 2020. And I'm playing I still use it for all of my games. It runs Baldur's Gate these days, it runs Cyberpunk. It's still doing its best. It's getting a bit slow because it's 4 years old now, but it's still, marching on like a champ. And I use my Switch Pro controller, link it via Bluetooth, and play games with it. Works perfectly well. I sometimes have to figure out the layout of the commands because it's used to PlayStation or Xbox, and it thinks the Switch Pro controller is an Xbox controller, but of course it's not. So A, B, X, and Y are switched. But other than that, you figure it out. And that's also how I then played Odyssey. And that was great. I never finished it. I think I got 100-something hours in there, 114, 115. I eventually lost interest and didn't continue.
Exactly, and
it's too long.
This is for me the problem.
And it gets repetitive
with Assassin's Creed, because I bought Odyssey when I got a PlayStation 5. I think in 2021. I was one of the first ones, at least in like my social circles, who got it by sheer coincidence.
Yeah, I remember.
And so I at the time, what would you get for the PS5,
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you got your hands on... Guys, if you are not aware of this for some reason, but the PS5, it launched during COVID. So everyone was like...
No, it launched a bit before that.
Yeah, but I have nothing to do, so gimme. It was sold out everywhere.
It was simply not available.
Sold out everywhere. And he went into a GameStop, I think it was, right?
No, it wasn't. It's called Cyberport, and
right.
It was just available. But that's not the point.
No,
the thing is, I got Odyssey because I was like, okay, let's see, big open world game, notorious for loading times. Let's see what it can do in no time. And the thing is, exactly, I thought, okay, which one to get? Origins or Odyssey?
Right.
And I always thought, okay, Greek mythology or ancient Greek.
Absolutely up my alley.
Ancient Greece, exactly. Always a bit more interesting than ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
So I got...
For us, not to say it's not interesting. There's Egypt people, we are Greek people.
For me.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, let's try this. And I played the very first Assassin's Creed when it came out and I didn't like it. I didn't. Because I thought the world looked bland, because there's a lot of sandstone, there's a lot of ochre going on, or sand-coloured things. I'm just like...
Where is the first one set?
I think in the Holy Land.
Okay.
And you've got the Knights Templar versus the Assassins.
Sense. Yeah, of course.
And so I couldn't get into it because I didn't think the story was intriguing.
Right.
I played the second one, which is
where?
more interesting in Venice, or Italy, Florence, and later Venice, I believe.
Right.
But I never made it that far because you start in Florence. And what was interesting, of course, because when you kill historically significant people, they made it align with historical circumstances, even though people died under different causes of death.
Yeah.
But like the circumstances were similar.
Yeah.
So, and you've got the Medici in there, you've got a lot of intrigue, and I played Florence, and then you get this massive manor, which is going to be a headquarter for the assassins, and I never picked it up again. I don't know why. I liked it up until then. I played Black Flag on the Wii U, and which was interesting.
I barely played any of that. It just
might have been. But, the setting was interesting, the Caribbean, pirates and everything.
Yeah.
And I played Odyssey. Those are the ones I played.
Yeah.
But you never finish.
No.
Because there's loads to do, and at the same time...
I've seen some of Valhalla. Also looks interesting, but...
And at the same time, I feel like there's loads to do. At the same time, not really.
It's all the same.
Because
all the same.
in Odyssey, I got to the point where you realise, and by the way, spoilers... where depending on who you decided to play, and I played Cassandra,
Same.
You realise your sibling's not dead.
Yeah.
But he's part of this.
I think that's about how far I got.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is when the game actually really starts.
Yeah, and that's
because
110 hours in or something.
Exactly. I was the same because you do a lot of those side quests.
And I have that because it's split into islands. I have the actual drive to finish all the side quests on one island before I move on.
I'm exactly the same.
Issue.
And then you get to this meeting, and then you realise, oh, not only is your sibling still alive, now you've got to find out about a shitload of characters and when and where to assassinate them, how to get close to them. And I was like, I'm not doing that.
But it's all the same. That's the problem. There's 5 or 6 core gameplay features, and they repeat each other. And I mean, what I will admit, I struggle a lot with sea combat in that one because I find it really hard. And then you have to always decide: are you on the side of the Spartans or of the Athenians? Are you
can switch allegiances at any point.
And I'm not saying that it doesn't have fantastic Easter eggs. I love it, and I don't know. I love standing in the not Pantheon, but on the what's it called, Acropolis, and have a chat with Socrates. That's cool.
That's extremely cool. But the thing is,
the story didn't.
I always felt like, except for the first one, it didn't catch me for whatever reason. The setting ideas are always interesting.
And it looks beautiful as well.
Exactly. It's fun to look around, but after a while you're just like, that's okay.
I found a Minotaur or a Cyclops or something on a random island. I'm like, oh wait, fantasy creatures are a thing? Okay.
Because, there's an add-on that's literally called The Fate of Atlantis.
Yes, I have that. Also,
yes,
you
so
don't have fall damage in this one because you have the magic item that prevents you from fall damage.
Might be, but the thing is that at some point, it's not because of the size of the game, I suppose, but at some point my interest in it wanes.
Yeah,
and it's always I'm thinking even with Valhalla, the Viking invasion of the British Isles. That's interesting.
Very.
But even among, I think, Assassin's Creed fans, it's highly debated whether this is a good game or not. Or Assassin's Creed Unity, which came out incredibly buggy but takes place during the French Revolution. Always interesting settings, don't get me wrong.
Historically insane tipping points, and it's
Assassin's Creed Syndicate, give me Victorian London, sure.
Yeah.
And a DLC about Jack the Ripper.
Not necessarily with Michael Fassbender. Let's stick with the game. But
oh right,
that
yes,
was a horrible film. But I will say that I mean, Black Flag lost me completely. Black Flag never got me, and I will potentially blame that again on the gameplay on the Switch, because Odyssey got me way more. But then again, I have a massive soft spot for Greek mythology. Maybe that was also it. But I will say, even I always blamed it on me not growing up with the Assassin's Creed franchise, because I know that has massive lore behind it, and you playing the main character, even though you assume different roles. I mean, there's the plot line in the present going on as well. Where,
yeah, like, who gives a shit about that?
Altair, or what his name is, dies, and then you play someone else, and yada yada yada. I forget, because I don't have that framework. I always felt like maybe I'm not as involved as diehard fans that are really in the Assassin's Creed thing. But
as far as I understand it, because I played the first one, I was so confused about something taking place in present day.
Yeah.
And from what I can tell, and all the people I know who played Assassin's Creed, like who played every Assassin's Creed or most of it, most people don't care about this present day, like big conspiracy thingy. I'm just like, oh, we're still doing that. Because, sometimes you had stealth passages taking place in present day. And I never cared for it. Because this whole like, oh, we've got these secret, I don't give a shit.
Fair.
I really don't. And this is like, even though I played, as you said, like with Odyssey, over 100 hours, that doesn't necessarily mean you fully get into it.
No.
Because if you can like for example with Final Fantasy 15, I played very far into it. Then for some reason I left it for a while because I think I had a lot of things to do. But I was so interested in the game, I started over again and finished the bloody thing.
Insane.
And that doesn't happen with Assassin's Creed.
That is commitment
for me.
I appreciate. Like starting anew and then finishing it, that's insane to me. That's really cool.
Like, and I was fairly deep into the story.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I would say now that we have alienated the last 3 of our listeners with our, in some perspective, probably very wrong opinion. I think
some of it was quite relatable, I venture.
I hope so.
Either way, let's see if we can get the comment section working when we drop this.
Exactly. Feel free to leave. Just say hi, guys. You don't even need to say something substantial. I mean, we don't say anything substantial within 2 hours here, so don't feel pressured.
I feel that's fairly accurate.
Yeah.
So, but I think this does it for all of us here.
At Channel
5?
Yeah, I think so. Anchorman is coming, you guys. We promise.
Yeah, at some point.
That is the thing we bonded over. It is coming.
That's actually true. I think this is it for us. You guys have a good day, good night, whatever, and we'll see you soon.
Speak to you soon, guys.